Yeah, I think I lost my patience, cause I've been living way too slow. It's about time I start accelerating. They want me invalidated, I won't be intimidated, I won't be contaminated by the negativity, won't be domesticated. Ain't nobody stopping me, won't be intoxicated. My soul is not for purchasing, won't be asphyxiated. Just come on, try and silence me, I've been consolidating. This is who I'm supposed to be. Yeah, and they keep telling me to keep waiting.
What's up, everybody? This is BraedenV. Welcome to the Chasing Planes podcast, episode 4. I took a little bit of time off because I got sick, but we had a show last week, just a couple days ago now, and it went really well. It was my first time performing like an official set of 2022. It was kind of weird. A little bit late in the year to get started, but better than never, you know? Anyways, I'm excited to be back out there. It was great to meet up with some of the community, just talk some music, you know, see what everybody's doing, get caught up on all the things that everybody's working on in the next couple months, and see how we can get involved and how we can help each other out and support each other on the scene, you know. Anyway, so yeah, the show was at Bubba's Lounge last Thursday. We opened up with Just the Facts, a rap duo. The two guys are just fantastic wordsmiths. They do this great energetic back and forth style of hip hop. It's a lot of fun. They send good messages. You know, they have songs about battling addiction, songs about doing the right thing and just like living a good life. Very similar to my music in ways. It's actually one of the reasons we vibe. I think they just take a different approach with the duo. Obviously, they have like a different diversity of energy, right? The one can kind of have their own style. The other one has their own style. And between the two of them, they kind of create something that's bigger than the two of them individually, you know, or bigger than each one could be individually, I should say. And that's cool. There's something about Just the Facts that I really dig. I'm going to have a song with them very soon. I actually started working on it real recently. They sent me a verse along ages ago. I've been sitting on it, and I was kind of just waiting for the right inspiration or the right time to kind of like feel it. And it's kind of coming around more recently. So as I continue doing shows with them and stuff, I'm going to be more energized to write that track and get my part done, so that we can get that thing hammered out for my album. Let's see who else. D-Sane performed at the show. D-Sane's very similar to my music, just positive messaging. He just reaches right into his heart and pulls it out for everybody in the show. And you know, every time that he's on that stage, people really resonate with what he says. You can tell he's been through a lot in his life, and his messaging is just so powerful because of it. And he also, like, he freestyled the last song in his set, which was totally dope. D-Saint's real rap, you know what I mean? He's doing it for the right reasons. He's a great member of our community. He makes music videos for guys and makes his own music videos and makes sure he comes. He lives quite a ways out of town too, so it's a bit of an effort just for him to show up. So when he does, it means a lot. It's always cool to see him. He was the runner-up at the Iron Mike Festival last year, in 2021. And I actually thought he won. I thought he should have won. But the judges were looking for a bit more of that speed rap kind of style. So, you know, hats off to Cavi. Shouts out to him, by the way, who ended up taking that Iron Mike crown inaugural first year. And, you know, D and I have talked about it, and I kind of told him, you know, man, for the first Iron Mike festival ever for PEI, it makes sense that a guy who's been in the grind on PEI for 10 years plus making rap music, for him to win it. And that's why Cavi won. You know, he put in the time, he put in the effort, and he's got the bars. So he well deserved it. D-Saint, maybe he'll win next time. D-Saint came from Hamilton, so it's kind of hard for a guy like him to win in that first year. You know what I mean? There's kind of like whether anybody admits to it or not, the first year there's got to be an inaugural champion, kind of somebody who represents the scene and represents the area, you know? And I don't think that's like I said, it's not a spoken thing. It's never written anywhere explicitly, but there's something to that, I think. It was hard to, even when I was signing up for the Iron Mike and talking to the organizers and stuff, I even said to them, like, hey, is Cavi going to be in this thing? Because he should be. Like, everybody thought he should be part of it because this is a hip-hop community thing coming together, the Iron Mike Festival, right? Anyways, the organizers were like, yeah, Cavi's interested in it. He's just not sure if it would be fair. And, you know, we were all like, man, fair or not fair, he should be in the Iron Mike. You know what I mean? He's one of these guys that rightfully deserves it. So sure enough, there you go, right? He won. The right guy showed up, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Next year we'll see who it is, but you know, for that first year, like I said, I thought D had it because his performance was so good and emotional, but the judges were looking for something a bit different that night, and I get that. Anyway, so yeah, D-Sane performed too at Bubba's. He put on a great set. Like I said, he freestyled his last song, which was totally dope. A lot of people didn't realize that, I don't think, until partway through. I knew the whole time because I was right there, and I know his content well enough to know when he's freestyling, and it was dope. But And let's see, Prototype, of course, performed after that, my boy. And he put on a great show as always. Man in the Mask. He's got his tongue twister rhymes and his dope beats, and put on a real street show vibe. He had a really cool. Sorry, my sound fucked up there. He had a real cool couple new songs he did there. I can't remember if it was just one new song or two new songs they did, but Mask Off he did live, and that's like one of my favorite songs by him. It's super fun. Anyways, yeah, and then he and I did Back on Beat, which is our song we've done together many times in the past. Always gets the place bumping. It's a great, energetic track. And then I performed my set, too, to close the night, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I wish I could have done a bit longer of a set, but it is what it is. We were a little late getting started. There were some sound issues and whatnot. These things happen. First show of the new year kind of thing, you know what I mean? Not that it's a new year now, it's 4 months in, but point is, first show for us, so we were, a little rusty. I felt like my first song was not great. It always takes about a song and a half for me to really feel like I'm in a groove, and then, like, that feeling, that comfort kind of will remain residually for a couple shows afterwards, maybe if I perform, within a couple weeks of each other or whatever. But, like, this is my first time performing that way in a while, so I felt like I had to get the dust off a little bit. That first song was not the tightest, but people seemed to still dig everything, and everybody that came out seemed like they had a good time. So I appreciate everybody that showed up. It was really awesome. I know a lot of people were sick, so it's hard to get out to events like this, but whenever you can support the scene, it means a lot to the people in it. Yeah, we had a lot of fun, and we all got to hang out after too. It's always cool to be able to talk to everybody and see what they're up to, like I said earlier. I think D Saint and I might work on a music video at some point in the future. We were kind of talking about that. It makes sense. What else we got going on? I'm trying to think. Prototype's got a track that I'm working on with him and Loki. He's a local guy also. He wasn't at the show, but he was an Iron Mike. Great rapper, really tight rhymes. Has a song called Samurai that's really dope. But anyways, the three of us linked up, and we should be able to do a collab at some point. We already recorded parts of it. It's just, the final recording needs to get done and all that stuff, mixing, mastering. So the three of us will probably have to get together in the studio in the next couple of weeks to get that thing done. But that should be really fun. That should be a great track. Prototype and I wrote that a couple 2 months ago maybe, and we were just kind of trying to find the right time to get Loki in so he could do his part. And then from there, it's just a matter of finalizing everything. You know what I mean? So it should be cool. I'm really excited about that. I'm actually really excited about my collabs coming up in the next couple months. I'm actually going to a portable studio. I'm not exactly sure how this setup works. I'm not sure if it's in a van or if it's in like a trailer, or if it's like a portable as in they set it up in somebody's house kind of studio. But anyways, I'm going to go check out this portable studio that a rapper from New Brunswick named Mackie is bringing over to record Explicit's album next weekend. So Explicit was at the Iron Mike Festival also, one of the runners-up. She and I have a song together called Trapped in My Head. It won was nominated for a Music PEI award, I should say. Anyways, so Explicit and Mackie are going to be recording Explicit's album in that studio, however they set it up next weekend, and I'm going to be going out to re-record my voice, re-record my vocals in the chorus for Trapped in My Head, and I'm not sure if there's other stuff they want me to work on them with too while I'm there. I'm always open to helping out where I can, so I'll definitely ask them maybe, hey, is there any other tracks you guys have been working on that I can check out, or that you want me to maybe, get a new pair of ears on or whatever, and I can offer some suggestions. That's one of my favorite parts of coming into the studio, you know what I mean? I love, obviously, collaborating, but hearing what people are working on and giving them good feedback or, suggestions or ideas. Usually I try not to go too hard on giving people ideas unless they kind of ask for it explicitly. But as far as feedback, like anybody that knows other people that make music, they know that people love to hear like, hey, this is dope, or you're on the right track, or maybe this part's a little rough, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Real simple stuff that you can't really, when you're working in your own bubble, it's hard to know. Right, but when you get another pair of ears on things, you get another brain on it. It really opens up possibilities, and they can kind of point out maybe some of the softer spots or some of the parts that you could improve on, or they can just kind of tell you, hey, yo, this is dope, and you're onto something here. Keep rolling it, stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's always helpful just to have that little bit of reinforcement. It's like when you're having a conversation with somebody. It's always good that they nod or give you some kind of indicator, feedback that they're listening, right? And it's kind of similar like that with music, where, you just want that little bit of like, okay, you're doing it right. That's fine. cool, all right, back at it. You know what I mean? That's all you need. You don't need a whole lot of guidance necessarily at this level. It's also good, but the point is, it's always just good for people to tell you like, hey, yo, this is dope. You're doing you here, and you're not reaching for it, or it doesn't seem forced, or it doesn't seem, whatever those things might be. So I'm really looking forward to that. And that's something I think I'd like to do more as I develop as an artist, is help other artists with their development and with their creative process, because it's something I'm very comfortable with, is my own creative process. Writing is something I can do pretty much on demand. If I want to write 16 bars right now, I can sit down and do it. I won't be the most inspired necessarily 16 bars, but when the time comes that I am inspired, those 16 bars come so much more easily and fluidly, and it's there's a quality difference, I think, from maintaining that. You know what I mean? There's people that don't write regularly, and that's fine. Everybody has their own way of doing things, but I think writing regularly is key. I write 16 bars or verses or choruses whenever I can, whenever it comes to me, or whenever I'm kind of just chilling out with not much to do. And the reason for that is because it helps keep that machine oiled. If you stop writing for 8 months and then you come back to it, you're not going to be as tight onto it as somebody who's every couple of days plugging at it, keeping those gears turning. And I think there's something to that. So I'm keeping writing always. And like I said, I look forward to in the future collaborating and helping other artists as they begin on their journeys. I don't want to be necessarily like somebody who's dragging them down the path, but you want to kind of give them that gentle nudge in the right direction here and there, because you never know what direction they're necessarily going in. You know what I mean? You only know the direction you're going in, and a lot of times you don't even know what direction you're going in. You just think you do, or you hope you do. And with this music thing, it's so non-linear. There's no direct path to success for people like us. So the best we can have is those little people along the way that kind of go, yep, you're in the right direction, you're headed in the right direction, keep going. That's all we can ask for. That's all feedback is really too, you know what I mean? At least good feedback. Bad feedback will be detrimental, and it'll slow you down, and it'll turn you around, and it'll make you reconsider the path you're on. Good feedback will make you reconsider it, but from a positive light. Bad feedback is one of the most negative things that an artist can have around them. If somebody just comes in and says, yo, that shit's whack, that doesn't help them at all. That just tells them whatever it is you didn't like. And maybe it is not good. Sure. That's, usually that's a matter of opinion, but there is obviously like incorrect ways to do things. If you're not like on beat when you're rapping or something, like there's ways to sound sloppy, right? And assuming you're doing everything correctly from a technical perspective, like your rapping is on beat, your bars are on point in terms of the syllable placements and all that stuff. If somebody's going to come along and just say, yo, that's whack, that's usually just a matter of taste. You want to obviously be smart enough to know the difference when somebody is commenting on your music or your art based on their taste, based on an emotion that they're feeling, based on an external factor that they are putting onto your music, and like projection wise. You don't want that. There's a whole bunch of things, right? A lot of people, when they go looking for music, they're looking for something that appeals to them, and if it doesn't appeal to them, they're going to be turned off by it, and they're going to say it's shit, and that's fine. But you have to understand that that's them. That's not your music, right? That's just they are not in the headspace to appreciate the music that you've created or the art you've created, and that's fine. There's all these different lanes, and there's different audiences and different genres for this reason, right? So, at least as far as I'm concerned, I make hip hop for myself that is supposed to make me feel better about my life and make me happier and motivate me on my journey. And hopefully the people that listen to it, they get those same emotions, obviously, right? The whole point is to inspire people and make them think bigger and strive for more in their life. That's what my music is here for. So if people hear the music and they don't feel that, or they don't want to feel that, that's fine. I'm not going to be taking that personally. You know what I mean? I try my best not to. Obviously, everybody wants people to like their music, but not everybody's going to, and that is something we have to face real early, because you're not going to stick around and keep making music if you expect everybody to love every song you make. You know what I mean? Jesus, that just doesn't happen. So even at the top level of this industry, when you're working with dozens of the best people in their skill set in the industry, and you make a clinical scientifically studied song in a lab, that song is still not going to be liked by a huge amount of people, right? Like, look at like Blinding Lights might be the only song I can think of that I've never heard anybody doesn't like. You know what I mean? But guess what? There's going to be people out there that don't like it because they're metalheads or because they're into totally different genres. They don't like the melodic vocals. They don't like the 80s style beat. Whatever it might be, they will find a reason. But the point is, it's all taste, right? That is a fantastic song, arguably one of the best songs ever made. And it's hard to find people that might not like it, but they exist. And that's the whole point of this. It's like, not everybody's going to love everything. And people are so vast and varied. And like I said, sometimes just their attitude is going to affect how they talk about something. So you can't take things like too personally, you know? Anyways, guys, it's a great rambling rant I've been on today about taste. But back at it, I guess. This is how you know this is the Chasing Planes podcast, guys, because we're spinning in circles, slowly spiraling down the drain. That's a joke. Guys, come on. It's only higher up into the stratosphere for us as we move forward. No, I'm just kidding, guys. We got good stuff coming up. In May, I've got a couple shows. I'm going to be DJing a show at the Guild for the Small Island Dreamer guys and Obame. So I'm really looking forward to that. That should be a fun night. And then later in May, I've got a show at the Old Triangle. We're going to be selling tickets for that one. It'll be the Prototype, and I'll be headlining. We got a couple dudes coming up to open up for us, but we've got the whole top floor of the Old Triangle, so we're hoping to get a big section of the hip-hop scene out to represent and to make sure the event goes over well, because it's hard for us to get stages in this town the way it is for the folk artists and the indie rock artists and the acoustic guys and the jazz guys and the country guys or whatever. You know, this island, as much as I love it, it is very inclined towards the traditional musical styles, and artists like hip-hop artists and modern artists do not get a lot of the same credence as ones who are equally modern as human beings, obviously, but they are choosing a more traditional route to express their art, right? Like through the country music or through the acoustic guitar or through whatever that genre might be that you feel is most prevalent on PEI. I don't want to say it's just one, because, you know, there's obviously several genres within those brackets, but the idea and the main key is that for hip-hop artists, there's not a ton of stages. That's why we use stages like Bubba's that are open to have pretty much all kinds of acts. The beer garden for us, we have to rent, you know what I mean? Obviously, a lot of these guys, they have to rent these venues. But for a lot of these artists, they get invited to perform at these things. Hip-hop artists aren't getting invited the same way that these other artists are. And whether that's because of the content or because of the atmospheres or just, like I said, geographic location doesn't cater to it. It is what it is. Maybe if there were some strip clubs on PEI, there'd be some hip-hop acts going on there, you know what I'm saying? And that's not a good thing, I'm just saying. It is what it is. Atlanta is one of those places that hip-hop is huge there, and it's also got, I think, per cap, one of the most strip clubs of any place in the nation or something, you know what I mean? And that's in the States. So it's interesting how that culture is affected by that. Anyways, and obviously there's always going to be a market for people with acoustic guitars singing beautiful songs, right? There's nothing wrong with that, and there never will be. But for hip-hop music, that is the music of today. That is the art of today. It is the most popular genre in the world. It is the genre that is getting nominated for more awards than most others, at least in the major levels of things. There's all kinds of hip-hop artists touching on other genres, and you don't see that with these other genres. These other genres are very stuck in their ways, and you're not going to see them branching out a whole lot the way that hip-hop does. Hip-hop is just reaching egregiously into other genres and taking the best parts of them and incorporating it into their style, and that is why it is the top genre in the world, not because it has stayed to its traditional roots and been afraid to modernize, okay? When Bob Dylan plugged in his guitar for the first time, people went bonkers, and they freaked out, and they thought it was a travesty, but once he started getting the messages across a bit more, a couple years later, people chilled out about it, because ultimately the message is what's important, not the medium, right? Just because he was using an electric guitar instead of an acoustic, suddenly people thought he was, you know, making the devil's music or something. It's a joke, right? Whatever they thought, they were wrong. You know what I mean? Bob Dylan, you know, for better or worse, whether you like him or not, he was, I think, doing something bold and daring, and I think that is the kind of art that needs to be rewarded. I I don't have any interest in rewarding these artists that are doing the same thing everybody else has been doing for 20 years, guys. I'm interested in seeing artists that are trying to push an envelope, push a boundary, create something new, grow something that hasn't already bloomed and flourished in this area. You know what I mean? We've seen those flowers of those colors a million times. Let's get some different flowers in this area now. Let's get some new things blossoming. You know what I mean? And that's what hip hop can do in this area. We can create a hip hop scene in this area with the artists we already have. We just need to develop them and give them the stages and the opportunities that they deserve that all these other artists are getting. And to me, I think it's affront and it's offensive that we don't get these opportunities, because I've seen firsthand the talent in this genre and in this scene. And I surround myself with it because it is good. If it wasn't a good scene here, I would have left this place. I would have left here earlier when I first started making music, because the scene would have sucked and I would have noted it pretty quick. The scene here is dope, but it is segmented. It is not given the opportunities it needs to grow. And once it starts doing those things and getting those things, we're going to see a huge change. We're going to see a lot of these artists really flourish and do really good things, really amazing things. Because look what they're doing with what they already have, which is next to nothing. You know what I mean? You've got guys like Obame out here creating really unique pieces of art that are so true to him as a person that it's just beautiful to see. But, you know, he's not getting nearly the attention he deserves because he's not following the traditional route of music. And it's really strange because when Obame performs, it is so eclectic and genuine that nobody can dislike the guy. You know what I mean? He's so genuine and true to himself, and his energy that he brings is so pure that everybody that's around him is just brought up by it. And I've seen him firsthand do this many times to the energy of rooms that he's not even just performing in, that he's just part of. You know what I mean? And those are the kind of artists that we really need to be lifting up. But like I said, they're not following the traditional expected routes, so they don't necessarily get the shine they should, and that's really weird to me. Like, who are the people that are at the top of these organizations and companies and brands that are looking around at the artists in the region and not noticing these people? You know what I mean? Instead, they're noticing these people that have been doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, and it's not necessarily better. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying what they're doing is worse. I'm not trying to crap on anybody, all these dudes that are super successful in what they're doing in their lanes. I've worked with some of these people too, you know what I mean? Some of these country guys I've worked with, some of these indie rock guys I've worked with, I've shared stages with them. I've gone out to some of their shows, and I love a lot of what they're doing. But like I said, it's just not fair, the discrepancy between the respect that they're given and the other artists that are doing something on their own too. There's there's something so low about rapping and hip hop that takes a lot of balls. That a lot of these guys, you know, when you're in a band and you're a bassist or whatever, if you miss a note or two, you can hide that shit. You can, you know what I mean? It's different when it's just you. And these hip hop guys are getting up there and it's just them up there and they're putting their heart out on their sleeve and they're letting everybody hear. And they're unapologetic about it. And that's really brave and that's really beautiful. And I look forward to just seeing more of that. And seeing it starting to get the appreciation it deserves in this area, because I mean, these guys are real artists, man. And I'm not just talking about myself here. I actually exclude myself from this kind of thing a lot of times. I don't like to talk about myself in that kind of way, but you know, I'm here, I'm taking photos of these guys, I'm recording their sets, I'm paying attention, I'm streaming their music, I'm listening, and I'm hearing what they're saying, and I'm going, what the fuck? Why aren't the people above, you know, that are capable of lifting these people up noticing it? Why aren't they? And it's kind of strange, right? It's just, like I said, music is one of those things. If you make good music, you're able to find success if you are able to market it to the right people. We live in a generation where a lot of mediocre and average music is marketed very well, and it becomes super successful. And if you can make even a decent above average song, you can find super success because it shines above all the crap that we hear on average. But again, it needs to be marketed right. And the problem is marketing. People don't have the budget for it. People don't know how. They don't know who their audience is. They don't know how to find their audience because their audience is not here already built in for them. And that's why a lot of these artists struggle locally with the hip hop scene, because there's a small hip hop scene, but obviously they're not all going to come out and get behind every artist. And how are they going to know without these opportunities being created for them to shine and to display their skill sets and their talents. So we'll see what happens with that kind of thing. You know what I mean, guys? The next few years, it's going to be really interesting to see how Charlottetown's hip-hop scene and Prince Edward Island's and the East Coast in general's hip-hop scene evolves. There's a lot of artists over in Halifax making noise, but I don't know if it's... obviously, it's all genuine. It's all genuine art, but I feel like there's some guys in this hip-hop scene in Charlottetown that are going to be making big moves in the next few years. And I'd like to see where that leads to. I think there's a lot to be said about the noise that is being made in Charlottetown, as small as it is, as small as the scene is. The scene is growing so fast, and the people in it are developing so fast. That's what's really impressed me. 2 years ago when I first started, it was like everybody was at a different level, a lower level, and now it seems like the bar is set so much higher. And I'm proud to be a part of the group of artists that might be helping set that bar, because. I came into the scene an unknown member of it, but immediately started producing high quality beats, high quality songs, and putting on shows with the other members of this community, and integrated myself very quickly. And I don't want to try and brag, but I think that does say something about my own skill level. But more importantly, to me, I just am proud that I can be part of this scene as it's really beginning its upward trajectory. And I hope I can be one of the thought leaders in this upward trajectory arc, and help build this scene underneath all the other genres that are kind of being celebrated on top. You know what I mean? Because hip hop is that melting pot bubbling under the surface of these other genres, and it is truly where all the other genres can go to shine in their own unique way, under the hip hop banner. You know what I mean? All these artists that are outside of the hip hop genre can participate in hip hop. That's what's beautiful about it, and they don't realize it, but the people in hip hop realize it. And the hip hop guys, they know I can sample that. I can find a way to mix this singer's voice into my chorus. I can find a way to add this acoustic guitar to my hip hop song. They can do all these things. I don't know if a lot of these artists can do the same things with hip hop. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know if they can add a hip-hop beat to their country song and still have it maintain the main roots. I don't know if they could find a female soprano vocalist and get her to sing their chorus without changing the nature of what that song's genre is. And ultimately, genres don't matter, right? Good music matters, but genres are what we use to typify this stuff. And I think hip-hop is a genre that, like I said, can take from all the other genres, and that's what makes it so powerful. And it's beautiful to see where that will go in the next few years.
Living so fast, used to be so sedentary, but even I'm surprised I can fly with this weight I carry. Started from a humble root, I'm growing something legendary. Truth is I do what I want and they ain't even gotta dare me. Yeah, now I do some things that used to scare me. Came up from the bottom, boy, a strong foundation's necessary. I'm on the come up out of left field. At times I rub my eyes because it feels like I've been dreaming still. For real, they still tripping over my 2 feet. As long as I remember, I've been moving different to the beat. I know you've been looking, and to me there's more than what you seen. Good green rolling trees, I'm turning over brand new leaves. I'm so fly up on these beats, I don't need to book no seats. Tonight I'd like to make a toast. This one is for you from